world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. My name is Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that the country's GDP growth of 7.7% in the first 6 months of the current fiscal is a reflection of the country's strengthened economy and the transformative reforms carried out in the last 10 years. Europe agrees on a landmark AI regulation deal. The European Parliament is going to vote on the AI Act proposals early next year, but any legislation will not take effect until at least 2025. Deep division over the future of oil and gas among world leaders. COP28 considers end to fossil fuels. OPEC rallies its members and oil-producing allies to veto the proposed deal. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India's GDP growth of 7.7% in the first 6 months of the current fiscal is a reflection of the country's strengthening economy and the transformative reforms carried out in the last 10 years. Addressing the Infinity Forum 2.0 conference at the Gift City in Gandhinagar today through a video conference, the Prime Minister said that today the entire world has pinned its hopes on India. This is a reflection of India's strengthening economy and also the transformative reforms carried out in the last 10 years.
इसी साल मार्च में ऑस्ट्रेलिया के पीएम ने कहा था कि भारत ग्लोबल साउथ को लीडरशिप देने के लिए मजबूत स्थिति में है। कुछ महीने पहले वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम ने भी कहा है कि भारत में रेट टेपिज्म कम हुआ है, निवेश का बेहतर माहौल बना है। आज पूरी दुनिया भारत से उम्मीदें लगाए हुए है और ये ऐसे ही नहीं हुआ है। ये भारत की मजबूत होती अर्थव्यवस्था और पिछले 10 वर्षों में किए गए ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव रिफॉर्म्स का रिफ्लेक्शन है।
Prime Minister Modi also talked about turning Gujarat International Finance Tech City into a global hub of financial and technological services.
गिफ्ट आईएफएससीए को ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस और वेंचर से आगे ले जाना चाहती है। हम गिफ्ट सिटी को न्यू एज ग्लोबल फाइनेंशियल एंड टेक्नोलॉजी सर्विसेज का ग्लोबल नर्व सेंटर बनाना चाहते हैं। मुझे विश्वास है गिफ्ट सिटी के प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज विश्व के सामने खड़ी चुनौतियों का समाधान करने में मदद करेंगे।
The Indian Prime Minister also hailed the Indian fintech markets. He said that India is one of the fastest growing fintech markets in the world.
भारत आज विश्व के फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग फिनटेक मार्केट में से एक है। फिनटेक में भारत की ताकत गिफ्ट आईएफएससी के विजन से जुड़ी है, जिसके कारण ये स्थान फिनटेक का एक उभरता हुआ केंद्र बन रहा है। 2022 में आईएफएससीए ने फिनटेक के लिए एक प्रोग्रेसिव रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क जारी किया था। इनोवेशन और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को बढ़ावा देने के लिए आईएफएससीए में एक फिनटेक इनिशिएटिव स्कीम भी है, जो इंडियन और फॉरेन फिनटेक्स को ग्रांट देता है। गिफ्ट सिटी में दुनिया के लिए ग्लोबल फिनटेक वर्ल्ड का गेटवे और फिनटेक लेबोरेटरी बनने की क्षमता है।
Interacting with the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra beneficiaries, the Prime Minister hailed Bharatiya Janata Party's hat-trick of victories in the assembly polls recently in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, and he said that the massive win was the evidence of the people's trust in the government.
देश में हाल में हुए विधानसभा चुनावों के परिणामों की आज भी बहुत चर्चा हो रही है। इन चुनाव नतीजों ने ये साफ कर दिया है कि मोदी की गारंटी में ही दम है। मैं सभी मतदाताओं का आभारी हूं जिन्होंने मोदी की गारंटी पर इतना भरोसा किया। लेकिन साथियों, सवाल ये भी है कि जो हमारे विरोध में खड़े हैं उन पर देश को भरोसा क्यों नहीं है। दरअसल कुछ राजनीतिक दलों को ये सीधी बात समझ नहीं आ रही है कि झूठी घोषणाएं करके वो कुछ हासिल नहीं कर पाएंगे। चुनाव सोशल मीडिया पर नहीं, जनता के बीच जाकर जीतना होता है। चुनाव जीतने से पहले जनता का दिल जीतना आवश्यक होता है। जनता के विवेक को कम आंकना ठीक नहीं है। अगर कुछ विपक्षी दलों ने राजनीतिक स्वार्थ के बजाय सेवा भाव को ही अपना काम समझा होता तो देश की बहुत बड़ी आबादी अभाव में, मुसीबतों में, तकलीफों में न रहती।
Furthermore, the Prime Minister also hailed the women's active participation in the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, which is actually a movement with the resolve to make India a developed country. And he said that the government has made 4 crore Pakka houses, that's 40 million brick and mortar houses for the poor, and 70% of the beneficiaries have been women.
विकसित भारत संकल्प यात्रा चल रही है। इसमें भी बहुत बड़ी संख्या में हमारी नारी शक्ति ही शामिल हो रही है। हमारी माताएं बहनें जुड़ रही हैं। मोदी की गारंटी की गाड़ी के साथ फोटो खिंचाने की भी उनमें होड़ मची है। आप देखिए, गरीबों के जो 4 करोड़ से अधिक घर बने हैं ना, कोई कल्पना कर सकता है हमारे देश में 4 करोड़ घर इतने कम समय में गरीबों को मिले। और सबसे मेरी खुशी तो इसमें है कि 4 करोड़ घर मिले ना, उसमें 70% लाभार्थी महिलाएं हैं। मतलब कि अगर किसी गांव में 10 घर बने हैं तो उसमें से 7 पक्के घर माताओं के नाम पर रजिस्टर हो गए हैं।
India's Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur addressed the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra introduced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. The minister expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister Modi for making India's economy the world's 5th largest economy.
नेतृत्व की क्षमता के उसको बढ़ाने का काम उसके माध्यम से किया जा रहा है और आपने जो संकल्प दिलाया है वो संकल्प सब लोग ले रहे हैं विकसित भारत बनाने का। आपने पिछले 9 वर्षों में भारत को 10वें नंबर की अर्थव्यवस्था से दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बना दिया है, जिसके लिए हम आपके आभारी हैं। अब आपने कहा कि अगले 5 वर्षों में तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनेंगे, उसके लिए हम सब अपना योगदान देने के लिए तैयार हैं। आपने 10 लाख लोगों को सरकारी क्षेत्र में रोजगार देने की बात कही थी, हम आपके आभारी हैं। 8 लाख से ज्यादा लोगों को आपने रोजगार दे दिया है और अगले 3 महीनों में 10 लाख का ये आंकड़ा भी पूरा हो जाएगा। आपका बहुत बहुत आभार माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी।
And as said earlier, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, it's a movement with the resolve to make India a developed country. Now, the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana also has been facilitated. It has facilitated more than 59 million hospitalizations at a cost of over 74,000 crore rupees. Difficult for me to give you that in terms of billions and millions right now, but I'll subsequently do that. According to the National Health Authority, the general medicine has emerged as the most utilized, especially catering to over 11 million patients. The top 3 specialties, they include infectious disease, general surgery and medical oncology, and that amounts to over rupees 15,000 crore. 1 crore is equal to 10 million. The scheme has been critical in providing medical support to millions across the country. India's Vice President Jagmeet inaugurated the Sarthak Global Resource Centre in Gurugram on Saturday. This centre is dedicated to the education and skill development of persons with disabilities and was launched during the 10th National Conference on Disability. During the event, the Vice President said that the perception of people is that people with disabilities have been constrained in their accomplishments.
मानते थे पहले कि महिलाओं को कुछ काम नहीं दिए जा सकते, वो उसके योग्य नहीं है. That ceiling has been broken. Our girls are combat pilots. Combat pilots. They are in the front line of defense. Every walk of life. Same is true of people whom we call disabled. They are not disabled. We take them to be disabled.
And the Indian Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, interacted with Indian students and young professionals in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. While interacting with the young Indian students and professionals, the minister highlighted the vast strides that India has made over the last decade.
We are today rolling out the fastest rollout of 5G technology is happening in India, but it is Indian 5G stack. So when you look at the CoWIN or the Covaxin, when you look at the 5G, when you look at the Chandrayaan, this is also Viksit Bharat in the making. So I feel today that it's important young people, especially those, many of you live and study abroad, your influence is not just limited to your immediate group or family. You meet others, you shape the thinking of India. When they hear from you in a very natural way what is happening in India, it is something which definitely gives them in a very sincere way, in a very natural way, a sense of really how is India progressing. And this message of how is India progressing is something which is very important to communicate to the world.
According to data released by the Income Tax Department, the income tax returns filings by taxpayers, these filings have risen 90% in the last 9 years, and there has been over a 5-fold increase in the salaries of the middle class. Tax data shows that the rise of the super rich, with 589 taxpayers filing a return with the gross total income of more than 500 crore rupees and a trend of over 20% average annual growth of those earning between 5.5 and 25 lakh rupees a year over a 9-year period has been seen, and evidence is also showing a rise in the Indian middle class. The rise in returns and income tax can be attributed to the robust economic growth of the country because of the government's taxpayer-friendly policies as well. Hong Kong is geared up for its first overhauled Patriots-only district elections as candidates hit the streets for their final campaign efforts. The voting day is set for Sunday, and the municipal level polls come amid a China-imposed national security crackdown that has marginalized opposition Democrats who once enjoyed strong popular support at the ballot box. The Finnish president, the candidate actually for the presidential candidate and former Finnish foreign minister Pekka Haavisto, performed in the party as a DJ to charm the audience and said that Finland would be an active member of NATO. The party was attended by youngsters where they played their favorite music of the 60s and 70s and shared his feelings. Firefighters extinguished a fire that engulfed a hospital ward in Tivoli, which is near Rome. The fire killed at least 4 people, 200 patients were evacuated, more than 7 children and a pregnant woman were among them. A South Korean court ruling in favor of a group of 16 women who were forced to work in a Japanese wartime brothel, in more than one brothel. They were confirmed to on Saturday by Japan's decision not to appeal this verdict. The South Korean Foreign Ministry statement comes after the passage of the appeal deadline. It must be filed within 2 weeks after the court's written judgment. Still to come here on DD India Live. Europe reached a provisional deal on the landmark rules governing the use of artificial intelligence. Deep division over the future of oil and gas among the world's leaders at COP28. United States vetoes the UN Security Council resolution that demands immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and seeks amendments.
Namaskar, welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives.
Perhaps Rajiv Gandhi realized that it was not easy to work with a person like Pranab Mukherjee, who had a very strong mind of his own, backed with a formidable combination of knowledge, experience and expertise. Your own vice president had shown publicly such disdain for your own government's decision, his own government's decision. Why should people vote for you again? Whether that true Congress ideology of inclusiveness, of tolerance of divergence of opinion, whether that divergence of opinion is being followed by the adherents of today's, the leaders and the workers of today's Congress party.
You're watching DD India Live. My name is Mark Lynn. Europe on Friday reached a provisional deal on a landmark European Union rules governing the use of artificial intelligence, including government's use of AI in biometric surveillance and how to regulate AI systems such as ChatGPT. The two sides are set to hash out details in the coming days, which could change the shape of the final legislation.
With the political agreement, the European Union moves toward becoming the first major world power to enact laws governing artificial intelligence. Friday's deal between European Union countries and European Parliament members came after nearly 15 hours of negotiations that followed an almost 24-hour debate the previous day. The two sides are set to hash out details in the coming days, which could change the shape of the final legislation. The accord requires foundation models such as ChatGPT and general-purpose AI systems, GPAI, to comply with transparency obligations before they are put on the market. These include drawing up technical documentation, complying with EU copyright law, and disseminating detailed summaries about the content used for training. Governments can only use real-time biometric surveillance in public spaces in cases of certain crimes. The agreement bans cognitive behavioral manipulation. Consumers would have the right to launch complaints and receive meaningful explanations while fines for violations. EU chief later in a tweet hailed AI Act as a global first. She said it's a unique legal framework for the development of AI you can trust, and that it will safeguard rights of people and businesses.
The United States, South Korea and Japan have agreed on new initiatives to respond to North Korea's threats in cyberspace, including satellite launches and cyber and cryptocurrency abuses. The national security advisors of the United States, South Korea and Japan met in Seoul on Saturday as Pyongyang warned that it would deploy more spy satellites. The White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, said that the meeting followed up on commitments set forth at the Camp David Trilateral Summit hosted by President Joe Biden. That happened in August, where the leaders of the three allies pledged to deepen security and economic cooperation. And India's Minister of Environment, Forest Well, India's Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, today presented India's national statement at COP28 in Dubai, the UAE. The Minister Yadav, he commenced the session's theme as the COP for Action, and the operationalization of the Loss and Damage Fund on the opening day. It underscored the commitment of practical measures to be taken. And the minister also highlighted India's active role in the global fight against climate change, emphasizing the intertwined relationship between the people and the planet.
Equity and climate justice must be the basis of global climate action. This can be ensured only when the developed countries take the lead in ambitious climate action. Excellency, it is of paramount importance to repose our trust and confidence in the principles and process of the Convention and its Paris Agreement. Let us all reaffirm our commitment to work together for the common objective of greener, cleaner, and healthier planet. As we have one Earth, we are one family and share one future. I thank you all. Thanks.
The Saudi Green Initiative Forum, which is a beacon of environmental advocacy, has dominated discussions at the ongoing COP28 summit as the world leaders converge to address the pressing issues of climate change. The third edition of the forum, held under the theme From Ambition to Action, emphasized on sustainability, energy transition, marine conservation, and unlocking climate finance to foster global climate resilience. The focal point of the Saudi Green Initiative Forum is the innovative SGI Gallery, offering interactive experiences that showcase the diversity of climate action initiatives taking root across Saudi Arabia. A major highlight from the forum is Saudi Arabia's ambitious push for renewable energy. The UN Climate Agency published a new draft of its COP28 agreement on Friday, which included a range of options for the future of fossil fuel use. The most contentious issue at the summit, COP28's draft deal, includes a range of opinions and options from agreeing to phase out of fossil fuels in line with the best available sciences, also to phasing out unabated fossil fuels, to including no language on them at all. So the document also set out an option for the rapid phase out of unabated coal power this decade and an immediate cessation of the permitting of new unabated coal power generation. Over the next few days, the countries are expected to focus on the issue in hopes of reaching a consensus before the summit's scheduled end on December 12. Meanwhile, OPEC is rallying its members and oil-producing countries to veto any proposal which will phase out fossil fuels at the climate change summit, highlighting deep divisions over the future of oil and gas. At least 80 countries are demanding at the COP28 a deal that calls for an eventual end to fossil fuel use, as scientists urge ambitious action to avert the worst impacts of climate change. The United States on Friday vetoed a proposed United Nations Security Council resolution, that's a demand actually, for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the conflict between Israel and the terrorist group Hamas in Gaza. So 4 earlier drafts were presented since the war had broken out, since the conflict had broken out, and these were all rejected by the Security Council. 13 other members had voted in favor of this brief draft resolution put forward by the UAE, and Britain has abstained from it. The US had offered substantial amendments to the draft, including a condemnation of the October 7 Hamas terrorist attacks that killed 1,200 Israeli people and in which 240 people were taken hostage. Moving on to our next story, the Swedish Embassy in India celebrated 75 years of Sweden-India diplomatic relations. The ambassador of Sweden to India, Jan Tesleff, exclusively spoke to DD India on the bilateral relationship, the new areas of cooperation. Here's more.
Sweden and India are celebrating 75 years of diplomatic relationship, and to talk more on this, I'm joined in by the Swedish ambassador to India. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to DD India. First of all, how do you think the bilateral momentum of the relationship is going forward, considering it's 75 years of diplomatic relationship?
You know, 75 years, I would not say that we are 75 years old, we are 75 years young. Our relations have never been so diverse as they are today. We are going into new areas that are important for India and where Sweden also have an edge. For example, innovation, education, life sciences, and sustainability.
There is a lot of interest specifically in the IT sector. When we talk about Sweden and India relationship, how much promise do you think it holds now?
We have 65 to 70,000 Indians living in Sweden. Many of them are working in the IT sector. And I see a potential for even more coming. I was at the student fair in Delhi just a few days ago, and hundreds of young Indians come, and they want to start their master's studies in Sweden. They want to benefit from what Sweden stands for. But we can also benefit from India.
What are the new areas we are aiming at progressing in the near future?
I think that everything that has to do with sustainability. Just a few days ago, the Honorable Prime Minister of India and the Swedish Prime Minister launched a new initiative at COP28 in Dubai, the Lead It 2.0 initiative, and that's about industry transition. You know, industries that still are facing issues when it comes to pollution, etc. And India and Sweden are really joining hands together with other countries to find solutions to these issues. That is the future for Sweden and India, in my view.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for talking to us. So here we had the Swedish ambassador speak to us exclusively on DD India on the relationship marking 75 years of diplomatic relationship between Sweden and India. With camera person Rajesh Ricky, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from New Delhi.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. Thanks very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.